Thanks for listening to In the Game with Elliot. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on the latest episodes. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 5 of In the Game with Elliot. I'm Elliot Georgiadis, and on this episode, I got to speak with Lamar Hurd. Lamar is an in-game TV analyst for the Portland Trailblazers, but beyond that, he is someone who cares deeply about serving his community and really is just one of the most positive and most entertaining people you could ever talk to. Lamar, thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure. I mean, it was pretty easy for me. A friend of Mike Yam and Ashley Adamson, you're good with me.
They're pretty awesome.
They are special people, and I got a chance to work with them really closely for 4 years before I took the Trailblazer job. But I was still in touch with them, and I did some Pac-12 stuff my first couple of years with the Blazers. It just wasn't as much as before, obviously. They're like real friends, like real friends, and like just good people. I like people that I've been able to meet in TV that, you know, they could be pretty standoffish or more concerned with their own careers than others. But like those two, they'll go the extra mile for other people. I mean, I've seen them fight for other people. So that was really easy when those two were already connected to you, like bit in my book.
You know, I've been really, I just so touched by people like them and like you who have these pretty incredible careers, pretty busy schedules. And this is something that I just started recently. And for them to take the time, I really appreciated it. And yeah, both of them just so kind, just really, really kind. And I had asked Mike Yam, who would be a great person to interview. And he said you right away. He didn't even have to think about it. So I was looking up some of your stuff online, and I got to tell you, you're really funny, like really funny. And
wow, thank you.
I love like your, I never heard that before segment bit that you do with the players sometime.
Yeah.
And I have another like really important question for you. Who is Lamar Hurd? Where does Lamar Hurd come from? Where was he born from? Does he come out often, make appearances? Please educate me on Lamar Hurd.
Yeah, a few people have asked about him. He's from East Philly. He is a huge Portland Trailblazer fan.
Okay.
It's just that we didn't know about it until 2 seasons ago because the Trailblazers celebrating their 50th anniversary season. We throughout that season, we would have throwback nights where we recognize certain teams from certain decades. So our first team, with the team being founded in 1970 was the 70s team. And, Lamar Hurd caught wind of it. Somebody back in East Philly told him about it. So he took the Greyhound because he doesn't fly. He took the Greyhound to Portland, and he got there, I think the night before the game, got into town. He had never really been to Portland. He had seen pictures of it. So he just didn't really understand the concept of, you could be in a city and you could see a mountain, and then you could see the Willamette River, and you can, be an hour and a half from the beach and stuff. So like all of that stuff blew his mind, but he really came for the game. So when he got there to the game, he was really excited. He was excited. We let him get on a mic a little bit. We let him get on a microphone because he wanted to talk about, reliving the 70s because I wasn't around at that time. So I couldn't speak to it. So I really wasn't a part of that evening in that telecast until the game started. So Lamar Hurd, he opened up our show that night, got a chance to really tell people what he loved about 70s basketball. And he's just one of those guys that, he's not trying to bother anybody. He's just trying to have a good time. He's trying to make sure people understand the game of basketball. Then he came back for 80s night. We had 80s night. He came back for that too. Yeah, he really loved the 80s because the 80s is when he moved from East Philly to Miami to live with his aunties. Yeah, the Golden Girls. He was down there with them in Florida. So after he had spent a few years with them, and then he went to community college down there. He figured
community college?
Yeah.
What was he doing?
I really don't know. And the thing is, his professors don't either. So that's one of those things that's still, they're kind of like opening up cold cases about it, trying to figure it out. It's,
Yeah.
from what I hear, everything was legal, it was on the up and up, but nobody really knows what he was doing. But he was
Okay.
down there hanging out. And so he was gonna come back. So here's the thing, Elliot, he was gonna come back for 90s night. And 90s night Lamar DeMar was probably gonna be your favorite Lamar DeMar. Like
Oh
he
yeah.
was ready to go. But this is where the story takes an unfortunate turn of events, because our Trailblazer 90s night celebration happened to come the same day that Kobe Bryant passed away. So the morning that happened, the Blazers were playing the Indiana Pacers that evening at home. And, word came in about that. So, that's where I had to step in and let Lamar DeMar know, I don't think tonight's a night, for you to come in and do your thing. So he understood. So that was the last time people saw him, was for 80s night. He might be back. He might be back this upcoming season. We don't know for sure. Apparently, his neighborhood has been pricing him out. They're bringing in new buildings. So he was trying to find, he was trying to find a new spot over the summer. But the real estate prices, I don't know if you've seen those recently, they've gone up.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, so he can't really find a spot right now. So he's trying to deal with that, get his own personal life situated. Once that's locked in, he plans to get back out here though.
Okay, a couple things in response to that. First of all, when I asked about Lamar DeMar, wasn't anticipating this whole life story that I just got from you, this backstory. I'm incredibly impressed. And number two, here's the reason why I'm impressed. For people who listen to this that maybe don't watch the Trailblazers on a weekly basis and caught 70s night, you are Lamar DeMar. Lamar DeMar is this persona that you have created. I have to say, I'm just really impressed. I'm impressed with the dedication. I'm impressed with the thoughtfulness, the foresight, the planning, like the East Philly, Greyhound, Miami Community College. Blown away.
I'm glad you enjoy it, because Lamar DeMar almost was not even a thing. So the night before 70s night, when he first made his appearance, I wasn't planning to implement Lamar DeMar into the broadcast. And at the time, some of my bosses had been asking about, if the announcers are going to dress up and stuff. And the guy who I worked with at that time, he wasn't really interested in dressing up, and he didn't end up dressing up. And then our courtside reporter, she was just going to do a little bit of something. So I was just like, well, there's really no point in me doing it. And it was my wife who kind of pushed me towards doing something. And she's like, no, you need to go do something. So I said, all right, we can go to one, there's like this little thrift shop near where we live. I was like, we can go take a visit there. If we find something that leads us to saying, okay, now let's add to this maybe, then I'll do it. So we go to this place. Actually, I think we went to the Salvation Army, now that I think about it. We went in, and there was this jacket. There was a Lamar DeMar jacket. And so, we got
it takes one piece. It takes
That's all
one
it took.
piece.
That's all it took. And then I could see the vision. And then now we're bouncing around, getting, other things. We got the afro and all that stuff. So anyway, Lamar DeMar was this close to not even being a part of our lives, but I'm glad he ended up being a part.
Yes. I don't know your wife, but I love her. I'm so glad that I don't know her. She likes volleyball. She pushed you to get, create this Lamar DeMar. I think she's awesome.
Yeah, I do too.
I got to tell you, because I caught like this montage of Lamar DeMar on social media, and it was a pretty long clip. And, what are the stats about social media? Like, people don't watch things for more than like however many seconds, right? Because we are trained to lose our attention. I watched the whole dang thing because I was so entertained by Lamar DeMar. And I loved too that you, and I also appreciated it because I was the nerdy kid in school with the like very enthusiastic mom, and I blame her, but I was enthusiastic too. But like, if there was like a pirate day, none of the kids dressed up for pirate day. Yeah. I was the kid showing up with my big black, whatever shirt with the ruffles and the thing around my head and my big fake earring. But anyways, I really appreciate that commitment to the Lamar DeMar character. And I just had to ask because you're so entertaining. Like it was just so funny and so good. So I had to know where he came. I didn't know there was so much coming with Lamar DeMar, but it's like a whole.
There's a lot. Yeah, he's been through a lot to get to where he is today.
Well, he's great. Really impressive. I really love Lamar. But let's really we will leave him alone for a while. We'll really talk about the Trailblazers. Tell us how you got into broadcasting, because you were a college athlete. Was this the plan for you long term when you were younger going to school? Like, how did you fall into what you're doing now?
It was the plan, it was the hope, but not on the timeline in which it happened. So I
Mm.
always thought when I was a little kid, I loved basketball, and I always thought whenever I retire from basketball, and in my mind at that time, I'm thinking I'll be, 30 or 35 years old, then my hope will be to somehow get into TV broadcasting, because I've always enjoyed understanding the game and understanding elements and aspects of it, just probably equally as much as I enjoyed playing it. So I knew that that was something I wanted to do. I had no idea, of course, back when I was in the 7th or 8th grade, how exactly that was going to happen. I just remember one of my first, influences to try to go down that line was Kenny Smith, who was a Houston Rocket. I grew up in Houston, Texas, and I watched Kenny go from being a part of the Rockets to his transition on TNT. And I remember thinking like, oh, that's what I want to do. Like, that seems really cool. Like, understanding the game as a point guard, you already got to understand everything going on both ends, both teams, coaches. You're like an extension of the coach. So it just all made sense. But what happened is my basketball career was shortened by me way more than I ever would have imagined. So what happened is I played 4 years at Oregon State, and it was a very up and down situation. Like, that's a place, and that experience there is where I really was prepared for the job that I would be doing now today, which is being on TV in front of thousands of people, that having to be able to, step to the forefront and what could be a high pressure job at times, and be able to handle it and deal with it. Because the me in college, I don't think would have been able to handle what I do now today, because the
Yeah.
me in college was very concerned about always trying to, try to do things as well as you can. And if I ever felt like I let somebody down, I couldn't rebound from it. So I go to the free throw line, I miss a free throw, and I'm so upset, I'm mad. My teammates, we're missing out on 1 point. It's 1 point. But to me, it's like, you got to do that right the next time. And then, that one miss turns into another one. And I would spiral down these little places. And I had to learn how to grow through that. And I did, but it happened late. So by the time I was a senior, I went from my freshman year being part of the Pac-12 or Pac-10 at the time freshman team,
Mhm.
behind several guys who were like professionals who played in the NBA, to by the time my senior year came around, I wasn't really on anybody's draft board or anything of that nature. So I also got hurt my senior year and missed half of my season. So I knew that overseas basketball or something in the developmental league was going to be my only chances to continue playing. I went to Germany, played for 1 season, and then I came back to the area. And while I was in the Portland area just for a little bit, my college roommate suggested me working at the Hoop in Beaverton, which Beaverton is a city where the Nike headquarters is. And the Hoop is this 6-court facility. And, my roommate said, hey, why don't you just go over there, and you're just looking for a gym where you can work out at. Maybe they'll trade you, you coach some kids and they'll give you free membership. So I
Mhm.
went in there, talked to them. They said, yeah, sure, come do that. And so that was always my plan, just to work out till I go to my next stop. And then I started coaching this little group of kids that they gave me to coach, and I retired from basketball. And I said that
Wow.
this is what I'm going to do. In my mind, it was for the rest of my life. And the only reason I made that decision at that time, being fully healthy, coming off of a year in Germany where I had a good year and I had contracts both abroad and within the D League that year.
Mhm.
The reason I did it was because when I was growing up as a kid, the most influential person in my life next to my mother was my basketball coach, because I just love basketball so much. And this guy basically like steered my whole life through my passion for basketball. So here I am now, 23 years old, at this gym called the Hoop in Beaverton, and I'm like, I'm gonna coach these little kids. So when I made that decision, this is what was really interesting. When I made that decision, I thought in my mind, oh, I'm not gonna have a chance to be on TV now, because I don't know anybody who does my job, who retired from basketball 23 years old after an up and down career. It's not like, you go back and you look and I was all Pac-10, every year I was MVP of the league. Like, that wasn't my story. And I
Mhm.
was cool with that because I felt like I was doing the right thing for myself at that time. So what happened is, because I was home that year though, unexpectedly, Oregon State decided that they were going to fire the coach that I played for when I was there, and they wanted me to be a part of the search committee to select a new coach. So it was during that process that the athletic director, he came to me and he said, "Hey, didn't you want to be on TV? Like, isn't that what you want to do professionally?" And I said, "Yeah, but like I just told you, how in the world am I going to do that? Like, who wants to, how's it going to happen?" And he said, "Well, the timing is really optimal because the regional network, which is Fox Sports Northwest, which turned into Root Sports, which is who the Blazers are going to be with next year, which is crazy. Get to reunite with them. Yeah. They are looking for former athletes, and your name came up, and I was only a year and a half removed at the time. So they were like, yeah, they want to, give you a shot and see." So I got an interview with the boss at Fox Sports Northwest. He hired me 2 weeks after our meeting, and this was in 2008, and that was my interest in television. So like my interest in television for me was kind of just as unexpected as my decision to stop playing basketball. Like it was parts of my story that I didn't see happen in the way it happened. But I got in at Fox Sports Northwest, spent 4 years there, and then all of a sudden the Pac-12 network came about. And the Pac-12 network, like it messed some stuff up for people because they took over the regional rights of all the games. And so like I started doing that, and that's where I met Mike and Ashley. And then 4 years after being there, on my computer in my house, and I get an email totally out the blue from the Portland Trailblazers asking me, am I interested in their vacant analyst position? And that's how that whole situation started with the Trailblazers.
Wow. What a cool path. I mean, it's really interesting to kind of hear how you, like you said, unexpectedly got from one spot to the next. I have to imagine that 1 year in Germany, though, was a pretty incredible experience.
Yeah.
I had a cousin whose husband was in the military, and they lived in Germany for 2 years, developed a pretty intense obsession with pretzels. Any special German maybe habits or words or things that stuck with you from that year that you spent playing there?
Yeah, some of the words. So I used to be able to count to 10. I lost that after like a year back home. So that's gone. In regards to the food, there was now I'm forgetting the name. I don't even know. I feel like if I pronounce it, it's going to sound wrong. It's going to sound like something else that I shouldn't say. So I'm not even going to make an attempt, but it's like a breaded meal. Are you familiar at all?
No, schnitzel. That's all I got.
That's what I'm going with.
Oh, you couldn't think of schnitzel?
Yeah, see, but in my mind, it wasn't saying that. It was saying something. I don't even know. Like, I don't even talk like that, but in my mind, it wasn't. So, yes, that I would have that.
That's it. Yeah.
But that's it. I didn't really. I spent most of my time. There was a Burger King down the street and a KFC. So
Stop it.
Well, that's what a lot of the basketball players do when you go overseas. Like you want to feel like you're at home, so you find kind of your comfort areas.
Burger King.
Burger King, and hey, let me tell you something. When you're that far from home, Burger King becomes the prime time spot.
That would be understandable when your alternative is probably like something vinegar potatoes and
yes. And there was a nice pizza shop. There was an Egyptian gentleman who had moved to the town I was in, which is Paderborn, Northwest Germany, and he opened up this pizza shop, small little spot, had the best pizza I have maybe ever eaten.
Okay. That's pretty cool then. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I am, and I will admit I'm a simple, like, cheeseburger. That's like my jam. Go-to meal, birthday dinner. I want a cheeseburger. So I guess I can understand when you are right, far away from home, need a good old American flame broiled burger.
Yeah, well, and it wasn't always just for a burger. Sometimes it was just go get a milkshake.
Oh, true.
Just something as simple as that. And some cities are, more Americanized than others. So the place where I was at, there was a college in the town, and it really reminded me of my college town, Corvallis, Oregon, where small things kind of revolve around whatever is, the show in town. And so for me in college, the college campus was the thing in town. And here in Germany, our basketball team, in addition to the soccer team, because soccer's the king over there, those are the two biggest shows in town. And so there were a lot of Americans. The fans were very, that's the thing about overseas fans. It is a circus in the games. Like people, oh my gosh, they have drums, trumpets, they're lighting fires in the gym. It is crazy. It's crazy. They're throwing stuff at you if they feel like it. Now, the good thing about the German league is it's one of the more evolved leagues and more respectable leagues. So you can't just get away with anything. But I remember even that year hearing from other guys who had been playing overseas a lot longer than, I was just in my first year. And I heard some of the craziest stories of, you go in and you beat a team by 20 points, their fans are mad. So as you're, walking out the tunnel, they're throwing things at you. And so like now you maybe can't even go out to a normal tunnel. You got to go out a different way. So like the home team, if you're on the road, might have to invite you to come out their way where you normally go. So like, these are things that never, like that doesn't happen in the NBA. In the NBA, now you like this past season, there were
I was going to say,
where people, but that's like one or two people, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if one person.
And look at how much everybody freaked out about it.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of new rules and.
Yeah. Now imagine 100 people spitting at you or throwing stuff at you. Like it can get crazy over there in certain spots. It can get wild.
Wow. That is kind of surprising because soccer is so big. So you wouldn't necessarily think, passion is passion, but you wouldn't necessarily think that there would be like that much with a basketball team, but that's pretty intense.
Yeah, it's different.
Wow. Never knew that. Okay. So going back to something else from earlier, you talked about when you were kind of thinking about life trajectory and how big a part of your life basketball was because of how passionate you were about it. You mentioned your coach growing up, and what was it about him that clearly made such a big impact on your life? What was that relationship like?
I think it was really simple. It was sharing in a passion. I loved basketball. He loved basketball. With me being a kid, being in the 5th, 6th grade, when I first developed a relationship with him, it's easy to look up to somebody who you feel is good at what you care about. And he was a guy that he didn't play like at a big college. He played at, I think, an NAIA school. But to me, he was like an NBA player, at that time when I'm in the 5th or 6th grade. It's like, whoa, he can shoot threes. He can, dunk every once in a while. Couldn't do it consistently, but he could do it every once in a while. So to me though, like that was everything. And then, so from there, a relationship was forged and I got a chance to just kind of grow up underneath him. Like when I was in the 6th grade, I lived with him. I moved out of my mom's house, who was still living in Houston. I lived with him Monday through Friday. And then I would go back home to Houston on the weekends. And it got to the point where I just wanted to stay up there all the time. And so my mom ended up moving from our house in Houston to move into this town north of the city. And so like, I just got a chance to, like kids will pay attention to what you do. I don't know if I want to say more than what you say, because I think both things are important. What you tell a kid is important, but like really what you exhibit, I think is paramount, because they watch, they know like when you're trying to trick them, when you're lying. And so for me, with that initial basketball connection, I would watch what he did, because it turned into like, man, I kind of want to be like this guy. Like people, when they're around him, they love being around him. Like they just like him. Everybody likes him. He's good at basketball. So it just seemed like something that I wanted to do and be. That's how our relationship started. And he was, that's why I say he was like really the most influential person to me, is because nothing was more important to me when I was a kid than basketball. So whoever you were, I would have listened to you. And so that's one of the reasons I'm so grateful that I met him and was under him, because if I would have been under the polar opposite, I would have followed that person as well. And my whole trajectory would have been completely different. And, the sad thing is, not just in basketball, but in a lot of aspects of life, there's a lot of opportunities like that for adults to connect with young people, on a similar level, that's sharing that same passion. And sometimes, the boat is missed for various reasons. Or, it's the flip side where, the wrong influences are taking kids down, a bad path. So, that relationship for me has really not only helped where my life has gone, but also with now, like with what I do, what I care about, the types of organization, the kind of people I want to support. A lot of that is based on my experience as a kid and understanding the
Yeah.
importance.
That's what I was going to say. Do you think that that's why you care so much now about giving back to the communities that you're in? And like you said, you were coaching youth basketball, and you do so much now with those kinds of organizations. Do you feel like that's where that really stemmed from for you?
Yeah, definitely the basketball aspect of it. So
Yeah.
coaching kids, wanting to help, make sure kids are connected with, the right types of influences. But also, I think just growing up, I've tried my best to try to keep a balanced perspective just on life. And I think as we grow up, it's kind of the responsibility of adults to be able to shape your perspectives, try to stay grounded as much as you can. Now, everybody's circumstances is different. So for some people, man, it's just tough enough trying to worry about yourself Monday through Friday. So I get that. But I encourage people as much as they can. The more you can just kind of realize, like, there's so much going on in life, and there's so many people that are hurting or need something, like there's always somebody doing worse than you. Like that's going to be the case. So whatever you can do to try to look at whatever your own life story is, and know that, like, nothing that has happened to you has happened in vain. Like, there's a reason for it, there's a purpose, there's something you can do with that to spin it back and help something else, and help influence or instruct certain decisions you make as you continue to grow. So my relationship with him definitely helped me and has shaped the way I think about things a lot now. But also, I think just, each year, just growing up, I try to just keep perspective as much as I can, and just really realize there's a lot of people going through a lot of stuff. And so if I have the ability, whether it's because of certain people I'm affiliated with, certain platforms I have, if I have the ability where I can use that stuff I have to impact other people in some kind of way, like, I want to make a life out of doing that. So that's just kind of been my thought process.
That's really wonderful to hear you kind of talk about your experience and how it shaped your perspective. Because I think it's so important too. Like, there are only so many hours in the day, right? And how can we spend our energy with others around us? And I taught psychology for a long time before I got into this. And, there was so much going on outside the classroom that I couldn't control. Right. Like, there's so much happening in my students' lives that I can't necessarily do anything about, but I could do something about the time that I had with them in my classroom.
Yeah.
So what could I do to create the kind of environment that was hopefully gonna last when they left? So I think your perspective on how we can do what we can in the community that we're placed, and try to remind ourselves to do the little things, I think is so great.
Yeah, I'm grateful I get to do it, because I look back at my situation. My coach didn't have resources like what I have. He didn't have Division I universities, television networks, professional sports teams where he could pick up the phone and call decision makers or get to the right people. Like, everything that he was able to do to help impact my life and then the lives of tons of other kids in our community, he basically did through himself. We were a small, tiny school. We didn't have a bunch of funds. And so, like, I look at my situation, like, if he could do what he did with the limited stuff that he had, like, I have to do more than that. Like, I have to try to impact even more. Like, it's only right. And, the hope is that there's somebody, some other kids now being impacted in some way where, like, they want to do this too. And, you just try to multiply leadership and goodwill as much as you can. And I mean, that's really all you can do.
Since we're talking about this, I want to ask you about The Bachelor, which might seem like an odd segue for people that don't necessarily know a lot of your background. Although we are obviously on different time zones right now. I'm in the East Coast, you're in the West Coast, and I didn't anticipate the sun going down where I'm at right now. And I don't really know what to do, because all I have is a bunch of exposed windows in front of me, but it's not a big deal. Although,
Yeah, just roll with it.
You know what movie I just watched this week was Thor Ragnarok. And are you a Marvel guy?
I'm not a huge Marvel. I know. I'm not.
Oh,
I'm not anti-Marvel. I
okay.
just,
It's
yeah.
okay. So
Okay.
I'm gonna say this anyways, even though you don't know. Thor finds Bruce Banner
Mhm.
and he's trying not to get him to turn into the Hulk. And there's this thing Scarlett Johansson does, like, the sun's going down, whatever. And
Okay.
so Thor keeps saying, sun's going down, sun's getting low, sun's going down. And he says it like a bunch of times. And that's all I'm thinking about right now because the sun's going down, but it's like in my face. Anyways, that's irrelevant because you're
Sun's
not a
going
Marvel guy.
down,
It's okay.
sun's getting low. That's
Yeah.
all. I know sun's going down, sun's getting low.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So again, Bachelor seems like an odd segue, but it's actually very relevant to what we're talking about because you have the story of wanting to be on The Bachelor, and I think your reasonings really speak a lot to your character. So explain for people who hear, "Oh, you wanted to be on The Bachelor," what the story was behind that, because I think it's really great.
Well, this is really impressive that you even know the reasoning. It sounds like you know because
Random
still,
Google.
okay, to this day, I get people that they have no idea and they think like, oh, like you wanted to be Matt James. Like you were really trying to be that and do that. It got so bad to the point where because my audition video, it went viral the week it came out. That was back in 2011. And up until a couple years ago, it was still up on YouTube. And we had to take it down because I would still get people that are watching it and then they come and ask. And so like there was this huge misconception.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's definitely like the most misunderstood thing that I've ever been a part of in my life. So basically, gosh, I got to figure out how to give you the condensed version of this story because this story has layers. It has
That's
layers.
why I wanted to ask about it because, like you said, easy to have a misconception, especially given the reputation the show has now,
Yes, yes,
right? Yeah.
correct. All right. So do you know what preceded my decision to do the Bachelor campaign? Do you know that story?
I know what your hope was, what you were working on.
Okay, but you don't know what even got me
No,
into.
no,
Okay,
no,
so,
I don't.
so let me take you back. So the place where this was born was 2011. The NBA was in a lockout season that year.
Okay.
So, guys aren't playing games. And a former friend of mine, we're in a basketball gym and we're just shooting, hanging out. And like the topic comes up of NBA players that we either played against in college, where they're at now, certain guys. And then like we randomly say like, it's crazy. We never met Kobe Bryant. And not because, we wanted to get an autograph or something like that. It was just odd because of the guys that we had met either through playing, working out with, or whatever. We would have thought like we would have run into Kobe at some point because we're here in the Nike capital of the world. We know his representatives, like we know all the right circles. And so that's all it was. I
Mm-hmm.
go home that evening. I turn on the TV. Kobe is in China and sitting right next to him is his representative that I know very well. And so I took that as like some kind of sign, right? So I called the guy that, I was at the gym with, and I said, man, I just turned on the TV. Kobe's in China. Like, I feel like we're supposed to like meet him or something. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 weeks goes by. I'm on Twitter and I look and somebody says Kobe Bryant is at the Nike campus. So immediately, like I send it to my guy and I'm like, this is getting crazy. Like he's down the street. He's 10 minutes away. Like, what does this mean? So I immediately hit up one of Kobe's close representatives that I know. And I said, hey, is Kobe here? Is this? And the guy says, yes. And we're going out tonight to just go to a lounge and hang out. You can come with us. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm flipping out. Now,
Yeah.
this Nike friend has no idea of the backstory of the recent conversations that have come about. So I'm flipping out. I'm like, man, it's crazy. So we get to the nighttime and I go to the lounge and it's me, a guy who used to be my friend, some other people. It's like 4 of us, I believe. We go to this lounge, we get there like 9 o'clock. An hour goes by. My friend from Nike does not show up. Nothing's going on. So like I text him like, hey, what's up? You guys still coming? He said, yeah, it's just taking some time. We'll be in a little bit. Like another hour goes by. We're like at 11 o'clock. This is on a weekday. And my friend finally walks in. So I'm thinking, oh, Kobe's gonna be behind him. I'm looking, Kobe's nowhere to be found. Friend comes walking over, kind of with that sad look, like I gotta
Yeah.
deliver the bad news.
Oh man.
I'm like, where's Kobe? I said, where's Kobe? He said, man, I don't know. He's, he might not want to come and stuff. So the whole time I'm trying to, in my mind, I don't want to scare my friend off, and make him think like, man, Lamar's tripping. Like he's a little too excited for this, because I would have to explain the backstory of like, no. I'm not like trying to fanboy out or nothing like that. This is now turned into this thing, like this mental thing of like, no, I brought this up in my mind just a few weeks ago. Like it's happening. Like I need to see completion. You know what I'm saying? Like it turned into that. Okay.
Yeah.
So like time is going by and my friend is texting Kobe back and forth. Like, you come in, what is it? So my friend looks at me and says, man, Kobe said he's probably not going to come. He's not going to, I'm just like, wow. I was like defeated for a little bit.
Yeah.
A few minutes goes by. My friend said, he said, do you have your car? And I said, yeah. He said, Kobe just asked me, can we go pick him up? And so like, I, of course, hopped up out the seat, straight up out the door. We're in the car. We drive to the spot, to the hotel where Kobe was at, which is a story in itself, how it went from that to then him getting in my car. But again, I'm giving you somewhat of the condensed version.
I was gonna say, I just love that I'm getting to talk to somebody who is getting to do this, that has this, like, I feel like I'm like, whatever they say, 6 degrees from Kobe right now. But anyways, go ahead, continue.
Okay. So we get to the hotel. My friend goes up there, to Kobe's room and stuff. 15 minutes later, my friend texts me and says, pull up to the end of the street where there's not a door there. Okay. So there's not a door where he told me to pull up to. However, 15 minutes later, Kobe comes walking out of the hotel, out of the wall, because there's not a door, and gets into my car, gets into the back of my car like everything's normal. His security guard gets into my front seat. Right behind me is the guy that this whole thing started with when I was in the gym and we were talking about meeting Kobe. In the middle of me is the Nike representative. To the right is Kobe Bryant. Gets in, says, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Right. So now I'm driving to go to the left.
Shaking on the wheel.
It wasn't shaking, but it was close because I knew Kobe would sniff the fear. He'll sniff it if I had it. But I was thinking like, man, I can't get a ticket. I got to make sure I come to complete stops. I can't do anything wrong right now. Like I can get no pressure. Accident. Could you imagine if I rear-ended somebody or even allow them to rear-end me? So like I was playing offense and defense on the road. So we're driving to the spot, right? We get to the spot. Gosh, it's so easy to go in different ways, but I got to stay on track. So we get to the spot, Elliot, we go inside and we have a section just for us in this lounge. Mm-hmm. And it's me, Kobe, the Nike contact. It's basically the people in the car. And we're just at this table. And you would think we have known each other for like 10 years. Wow. So we're hanging out. After about 20 minutes or so, Kobe goes off to another part of the lounge. And then that was it. I didn't talk to him again for the rest of the night. When he went off, I didn't go over there with them. They asked me if I wanted to. I said, nope, I'm done. This has turned into more than what I wanted, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So I had this night, right? So then fast forward like maybe a month or two, and I'm sitting in a restaurant with that same friend who I was in the gym with saying, like, it's crazy we haven't met Kobe. And at the time, I was at a place where, for me personally, I didn't feel like I was really accomplishing what I wanted to accomplish. When in 2008, I decided I was going to retire from basketball to coach kids. Like I had a booming business. I was a co-owner of the organization that was the most, the largest competitive youth basketball organization at that time in our entire state, both in terms of participants and dollars being bought in. We had it so good. We had it so good that I didn't even have to show up at things anymore. And I was collecting a check good enough that I had no problem paying any bills and doing all the excess stuff that I wanted to do. However, that's not why I stopped playing basketball and, wanted to be kids. I wanted to be a part of relational building, and I wanted some things structurally to be a little different to help facilitate that. And we weren't getting that at that time. So I was really frustrated. And I was in a restaurant and I was just kind of just venting about it. And I'm like, you know what? We got to be able to have a situation where we never have to put money over what's best for a kid's experience. So I don't ever want to make a decision through our organization where we decide, all right, we're going to do A because A makes more money, although it's destructive in some way to the experience of what this kid might be doing over here in B. Mm-hmm. And really the only way, as I looked at our 3 or 4 years as a business, and throughout my time in youth basketball, really the only way to do that, the way I wanted to do it, is we just needed some money. We needed sponsorship. We needed help from that standpoint. And so I'm listing names of people that I'm like, man, you know what, if we can kind of just sit in front of this person, maybe, you know, they would resonate with this. So like my friend is saying the names of certain NBA players, and it's like, well, we either don't know that person, or, you know, like there wouldn't really be that person wouldn't be as interested in what we're doing. Like maybe if it was just all competitive basketball and the top players in certain areas, like NBA guys naturally gravitate towards that because that's who they were as well when they were playing. You want to coach talent. For me, it goes back to the passion. You know, like I said, like I connected with my coach because we shared in a passion. It didn't matter if I went on to play in college or not. Like I would have taken the same things from him that I would have taken if I was in the NBA or if I quit basketball in the 9th grade, because we shared in that passion. So those are the kind of kids that I wanted to be working with, the ones that were just passionate about the game enough where our leadership could help dictate the lifestyle they then choose to live. So I'm naming people and I'm like, you know what? We gotta find somebody like Oprah who would probably care about this. And as soon as I said it, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, we got to meet Oprah. Like we have to go meet Oprah. Yeah. And when I said it, I wasn't joking. I was dead serious, because in my mind, I had just made us meet Kobe Bryant. Like in my mind, we just went from talking about Kobe to him in the backseat of my car. So I'm about to go meet Oprah, especially the Kobe thing. The Kobe thing didn't even have a purpose. The Kobe thing didn't have, the Oprah thing is like, man, I'm trying to do this for all these kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, I'm like, this is going to work.
I love it. I totally get it now. If you can speak into existence a meet with Kobe, you can certainly speak into existence a meet with Oprah. I get it.
Why not?
Why not?
So then the question is like, well, at least with Kobe, we know his representatives. So like, it made more sense. With Oprah, we know nobody. And so, you know, like we're thinking like, man, how can this work? How can this work? And then it hit me. I was like, my assistant had been trying to hook me up because I was single all those years. And my assistant was always trying to hook me up with somebody. And like 6 or 8 months prior to this time, when I'm in this restaurant and I say, we got to meet Oprah, I was at my assistant's house and she has these sisters. They're hilarious. And like, they're chuckling down at the end of a table. We're there for dinner. And I'm like, what's going on down there? And, you know, they're like, well, we can't tell you. So eventually they end up telling me that my assistant had been working with them to try to get me on The Bachelor. And so at the time when I heard that, I'm like, y'all got to quit. Like that will never happen. Right. So here we are now, 6-7 months later. I'm like, you know what? If we revisit that idea, put something out there, and then make it about being the first Black Bachelor, I was like, that's a headline. That's a headline that I think can garner some attention. And so I said, I could see that garnering attention. And maybe, you know, if it gets big enough, maybe like, you know, like the ladies on The View, they call me in for an interview, and like, it's there when I'm on stage, like they think they're interviewing me about The Bachelor. And then it's like, bam, here's why I'm here. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's my game plan. That's my game plan.
That's pretty good.
So right away, I contact this guy who's a filmmaker here in town. I was like, look, I need a Bachelor video. I don't tell him what it's about. There are literally like 3 or 4 people at this time who know what I'm really trying to do, because I didn't want it to blow up. I didn't want it to get out. I didn't want it to leak. So we made this video. The day after we put it out there, like it's got thousands of hits. Within a week time, I'm getting contacted by like everybody, people who I would have never thought I'd be talking to. Good Morning America, BET, MTV, Perez Hilton, whoever, all the Bachelor people. So like now after a couple of weeks, because it just kept growing, the Bachelor people started to contact me. So they're like, hey, I got a call one day from some Bachelor people, and they say, hey, we've been watching. We saw your audition tape, and we've been watching and seeing like it's picking up steam. We want to know, would you be interested in coming on The Bachelorette? And I said, no, thank you. I would not. And it was like, really? Are you sure? Like most of the people, like we know you like want to be the Bachelor, but most of our, in order to do that, you got to be in our franchise, be part of our family. And I was like, no, I get it. I understand, but no, thank you. Yeah. Because I wasn't trying to like take the steps. So like I could have gone and said, yeah, let me do The Bachelorette, and then try to play that into, all right, how do I, but then it's like, no, I don't really want to be on the show. Like, so that's not what this is about. So I said, no. A couple months go by, and this thing does not slow down at all. It only intensifies. The Bachelor people call me back again.
Shoot.
They're like, we've been following, and like we see what's going on. You want to come be on our Bachelor pad? And I said, no, thank you. And I said, or they said, well, are you sure? Because it's a chance to win $250,000. And I was like, no. And I think this was the first moment they were genuinely confused and didn't like know what was going on. So, because, like at that time I could have used $250,000. And I think most people who, apply for the show would happily do that. So I think they were confused. So then a couple more weeks go by, they call me again. They're like, we want you to come down to LA. We want to meet you. So I go to LA.
Seriously?
LA. I meet with them in person.
I knew none of this part of the story.
I meet with them because this isn't public. I meet with them. You get an exclusive. I meet with them in person. We have a full-on meeting. We talk about it. They kind of revisit the whole idea. Like, are you sure you don't want to go on The Bachelorette, this and that? And I'm like, no, thank you. Like, I'll wait my turn. And so then I go back home, and this whole time, like, now I'm telling you this from my lens. Now, this whole time though, I'm working with like literally several hundred kids and families. And so none of them know what's going on. So in their minds, they're like thinking like, this dude wants to go on The Bachelor? Like the way that they know The Bachelor wasn't adding up to them with the way that they knew me. So there was so much going on during that time where people were like, they started writing me off. Like I had some people who were like, man, we got to pull our kids out the program.
But you were doing it for the kids. I know,
but they didn't know that.
Oh.
They didn't know that. So for some people, like it made them feel uncomfortable. So I had this small group of parents. There was a very small group of parents who they kind of got together. It's like 5 or 6 families. And they got together and they cornered me. And they said, we want to know what's going on. Because to us, like something's not adding up. And that was the only group of people that said that to me at that time. Like everybody else, they were just kind of saying, like, it was a very revealing time for me. Like it was a huge eye opener. But this group of parents approached me about it. And I said, all right, let's set up a lunch. I'll take, we'll go talk about this. So one of those parents, they owned a restaurant in downtown Portland. We set up a lunch. We went there one afternoon. We spent like 3 hours there, and I told them everything. I told them how this started, what had happened in between, what I was trying to do. And that group of parents said, we think we can help you accomplish a goal that like you want to accomplish. So none of us are Oprah, but some of us have financial means. Some of us have connections in certain places. We think we can help you accomplish the kind of organization. That night I went home. I still have the email. I emailed the people from The Bachelor in LA. I told them, thank you for all the last few months, your correspondence, everything, but like I'm officially out. So I don't even know if they were going to pick me or not. Like people ask me that all the time. Like, like, do you think they're going to pick you? I don't think so, only because it took them so long before they eventually did pick a Black Bachelor. And I don't know what all goes into that. But had they picked me, it would have actually been like a real dilemma because I never wanted to even go on the show. Here's the craziest thing. Wow.
There's crazier things than this.
Well, while this is going on, I'm dating the woman who's my wife right now. So she and I met like at the very beginning of this. And when we met, like she was hesitant to date me because she's like, wait a minute, you're trying to go for The Bachelor. And I always told her, I was like, look, I can't tell you right now, like, all what's going on, but I can just tell you, you can trust me with this. I won't let you down. I was like, if you trust me, I won't let you down. That's all I told her. And she gave me a chance. And so, but she got a chance to see, I think she started to realize over the first few months of our dating, like, like just what I was about. And so without me saying, like, man, this organization and what we're trying to do with kids, like, this is the most important thing to me. Like, she could see that. And so I think in her mind, it'd be interesting actually to hear her talk about it herself. But I think in her mind,
yeah, I'm thinking right now you are a very, very lucky man. Like a very lucky man.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said before, huge fan of your wife. Haven't met her yet. Would love to meet her someday. Huge fan of your wife. You're a lucky guy. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're right. So, and I understood it. I understood like how confusing it could have been and everything. But even with her, like our first few months, I didn't want to tell her because it's like, I don't really know you like that. So I don't know if we start dating and then, like I tell you this big Oprah secret and then we go separate ways. Like, then like you could ruin this whole thing. Like, I didn't want any, when I tell you 3 or 4 people knew, that is it. That is it. So anyway, when that group of parents had that meeting with me, everything was done at that point. And that's all the whole thing was about, was trying to create that whole situation.
This is a lot to digest. This is kind of like Lamar at the beginning. Like when I asked the question, I wasn't expecting all of this. I mean, fascinating backstory. I could say first of all, but I have like 6 different first of alls. But first of all, I feel like you're the guy to give the plans to, because apparently if you can really speak these things into existence. So I feel like afterwards I need to write down my little list of things I'm hoping for in my life and just pass them off to Lamar Hurd and he'll speak them into existence for me. So stay tuned for the follow-up.
I'll do it.
Seriously, I'm so blown away by this. The forethought, the planning, real good on you, because even now I think social media has kind of changed the Bachelorette, Bachelor Nation world. You were way ahead of your time, because I got to be honest with you, 2011, I think I had just gotten a Twitter that I didn't use. I think I was an egg. So I never heard of this viral Lamar Hurd video, but now that's totally the in. I feel like you must have set a trend for this franchise and the way they've kind of developed this following using social media. You were way ahead of your time on that. Don't you think?
Maybe I haven't thought of it that way, but
I think for sure.
Yeah, possibly.
And that's the other thing too. You had such a pure goal. You had this incredible, good plan of what you wanted to do with that platform. And now it's like, people are hoping that they can hit a spot on the show so they can sell some more sugar bear gummies on Instagram. You know what I mean?
No, I know.
So different.
Yeah.
Shoot. So wait a second. So if you would have I'm going to be hung up on this for a little while. If you would have gotten picked, what would you have done about the girlfriend, the now wife girlfriend?
Yeah, at that time, there was nothing in my mind that ever envisioned actually going on to the show. So that's what was always hard to keep things straight, is even when I went to LA and met with the Bachelor people, they're asking me questions as though like, all right, if we pick you, how would this look? How would that look? And so I had to get into a frame of mind where it's like, I'm never going to be here, but I'll tell you step by step of what I would do.
Was that intimidating though? Because I have to imagine you're meeting executive producers. I mean, they're flying you down there. It had to feel pretty intense.
The part in LA, that was the first part. That was the first time in the process where I did get a little nervous because with everything else, it's like I could hide behind everything else. With everything else, even if like BET called me one day. Okay. And with that, it's like I'm on a phone. Y'all are calling from the East Coast, like we're not looking at each other's eyes. This is before everybody's doing Zoom interviews and on the computer and stuff. Mm-hmm. So that was usually pretty easy to manage. But when I'm actually sitting in front of people who are part of the decision-making group, that's where the nervousness came in, because I just kept thinking like, don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. Like because in my mind, I'm thinking like, I'm 1 month away from Oprah. I'm 1 month away. So like,
oh my God.
like you've done this already. You're 4 or 5 months in. Do not mess it up. So that was the first time where it got like, all right, like I had to like really think about what I was saying and how I was acting, how I was coming across. Like I remember being in that meeting, and I remember feeling like, and your body language isn't showing like you actually want to be on the show, because I was trying to find this balance of like, I've already declined them. So I'm trying to think like, what would, if I was them, what would I think if this dude has already declined us twice, but he's willing to still come down here and do this? It's like, are they going to try to call my bluff? Do they think I'm trying to call theirs? Like all these thoughts are kind of going through my head the whole time. And it ended up being a really good meeting. Like I left that meeting feeling even more confident about the whole thing continuing for however long I needed it to continue.
I don't even know where to go from here. Like I'm so blown away by this whole story. And I'm really hoping this is I just hope some of this Lamar energy. I want it. I want the good vibes, whatever special powers you've got. I'm going to steal. Kobe, Oprah. I mean, okay. So you haven't actually met Oprah yet?
I didn't meet Oprah. No.
I think having all the major shows in the country and The Bachelor then bring you down to LA, I think that's pretty dang good.
I felt good about where it went. And actually the Oprah search, I mean, for me, it actively ended right after that meeting with those groups of parents. And so like, because for me, it's like, again, it was never about The Bachelor, and even Oprah was never about Oprah. It was about, here's what I'm trying to do in youth basketball. Mm-hmm. So once that group of parents steps in and says, hey, we want to try to help you do what you're trying to do, then it's like, I don't even need to meet Oprah anymore.
No.
I don't need to meet. So like, that's when I tell you that's 100% what the whole thing was about. Like that's all it was for. And so for me, I think when you like, you know your truth, you know what I'm saying? Like we can trick other people and try to make them believe we're something we're not, but like, and I think there's a certain confidence you develop in both yourself and in what you're trying to accomplish when you know the real reasons you're trying to do something. So for me, if during that time, if there was an inkling of me that's like, I want to be famous, like I kind of want to be famous. I like me, Oprah, that's the goal, but I also want this. Then I don't think I would have walked in it throughout that process with the same level of belief and confidence in it that I had. But like, I knew what I was trying to do. I knew what I was trying to get across. And so, and that's how I try to live my life even now to this day is like, try to live with a true purity of your passion and your mission, whatever that is, whatever it is you're interested in. Develop the reason of why you're trying to do it. What are you trying to accomplish? Who are you trying to impact? And then I think from there, you kind of like find your tribe of people. Like you find your people that you're going to move together in whatever that mission is.
Those are some incredibly wise words to take away from this intriguing, bizarre, awesome story. I seriously never anticipated this question. I would get so much out of it. This was like peak podcast talk of your journey, not journey on The Bachelor.
Well, so the good thing is, like that whole process, like I had people all the time that ask, like, did you meet Oprah? And I was like, no, I didn't. And they're like, oh, we still got to get you to meet Oprah. And I will tell them like, no, it's cool. Like, I don't need to meet Oprah for the reason that I was wanting to meet Oprah before. Like, right. So like, even in my life now, when I started working with the Trailblazers, like that shifted. That was a huge shift for me. Like that was a tough decision for me to even make. When the team first hit me up and they asked me, am I interested in their vacant position? Like I sent it immediately to my agent because at the time, it was a crazy time in my life. It was the same summer. I was already planning to propose to my now wife. And at that same time, I had a job opportunity come up in Atlanta. So it's like, man, what is going, like, do I need to move? Am I going to have to move? Like, I have no plans on moving. And like, is she coming with, like, all these questions are kind of going on. And then the Blazer thing comes up. So I'm like, what in the world is going on right now? So I forwarded the email to my agent and I said, I just got this. I don't even know if they're serious. because I don't really know them. I don't know them there. They had just let go of two longtime announcers. And I remember thinking when I even saw that news that happened, I was like, oh, they must have somebody already lined up. Cause like, there's no way they let those guys go if they don't already have that covered. So I was confused from the jump on all this stuff. And then also to further complicate it, in my mind, I was like married to the Pac-12, to the Pac-12 network.
Yeah.
Not just the job aspect of it, but the people. When I tell you Ashley Adamson and Mike Yam are like family, and JB Long and Adam Stanko and Ryan McGrady, and Colleen, I could keep listing all these people that over the course of 4 years became like family members because yeah, we shared the same job in the Pac-12 network, but those people were also invested in what was most important to me at that time, which was my work that I was able to do with kids. So they had became some really trusted confidants for me, and I didn't want to leave them. I just did not want to. And then also, I was getting a promotion that year with the Pac-12. I was going to be one of the top 2 studio analysts. I was going to have kind of my pick of games that I wanted to do. Like I was going to have a really, really good setup. So I was happy. So it took a little bit of time in meeting the Blazers, finding out what they were about, before I was like, okay, like I want to do this. And I knew that in taking that job, that now, in a way, I kind of get to be Oprah for other people. So I reflected back, I've been in the area since 2007, and here I am in 2016. And I've met all these people here in our area along my way that all they need is a little extra push. They need a little extra attention, a little extra awareness, something. But like, man, when I tell you their hearts are in it, they are dedicated. So then in 2016, it's like the tables just turn like that. And it's like, all right, I don't need this. I don't need to be the Blazer analyst and have this platform, which is the biggest sports team here in town. I don't need that for my own celebrity or for whatever. Like, I'm good. But now I get to be Oprah to some of these organizations here in town that like need exactly what I needed. So like for the last 5 years of my life, I've gotten a chance to be that in a different version, like in different ways. So like my why and my purpose for doing things and why I want to do things, like that's never changed. It's just been kind of the modes and the channels through which that's been accomplished. So although like I've never met Oprah, like I don't feel like I'm lacking. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like there's something left unresolved. But like, don't get me wrong. If Oprah wants to meet, I'll still meet her. I'll still talk to her, and then I'll tell her.
Nobody would turn that down. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll still tell her about all these other people, but it's just been really cool, kind of just seeing how it's all evolved.
Wow, I love that. I love that, Lamar. I love how like you said, you've gotten to do all the things that you had wanted to do, and you've gotten to fulfill this role in your community, and be able to make an impact. And I think that's so great. Well, I'm just so blown away by this path that you've taken and the things that you've gotten to do. I think it's just a very cool story to get to hear about. And I have to think too, Pac-12 has to be a really great place to work because it fits so much of what you wanted to do, because you were really connected with college communities, you were working with student athletes, and it fits that passion piece for you. And I know, talking to Ashley and Mike, that it was a hard year for the network, and you've been able to be in Portland now and do all the things you love. So I feel like that was something that was really meant to be for you, that you ended up there when you did.
Yeah, it definitely does seem like it. I love our management, our leadership, because I feel like they understand the platform we have, and like they really want to do something, with that. And it's really easy at this level, at the professional sports level, to not have to care about that, because, you're still going to get paid. You're working for billionaire owners. There's a lot of security that comes with that. Like things can just be fine. You can kind of coast. And I'm glad that I work with a group of people who don't want to just coast. And, it doesn't mean you're going to get it right every time, but like you are convicted in the attempt to do so. Like you are striving to do so, and you're accountable when you need to be accountable. but there's always this push that you're moving together for like a greater impact. So that's been a thing for me. I was hoping that I would get when the decision was made in 2016 to join the team, and kind of like how you're saying you've been blown away by elements of this interview. Like I've been blown away by certain elements of our leadership, and that's been really exciting. I think there's a lot of cool stuff we can do both now and in years to come.
That's great. I love hearing about it. I love hearing how you got there. I love hearing about the wonderful things that you're doing and that you feel like you're working with such a supportive staff. That's awesome. Wrapping up, I have 10 final questions that I ask everybody. So when I ask you, whatever pops first into your head, no pressure, give me your thoughts. Okay. You ready?
Okay. Is this like rapid fire? Because I'm terrible at giving you the answers quickly.
Okay. So the first person I did this with was Ashley. My intent wasn't that it was rapid, but they weren't necessarily supposed to be discussion provoking. They have turned into that. whatever floats your boat, wherever it goes. Question number 1, what makes you smile?
My wife.
Yeah, she should. She really should. 2, what is your favorite word?
Grateful.
Oh, good one. Question number 3, what is your favorite smell?
Anything around fall. So like, I don't know, is there like one specific word I got to go with? Like I like spice. I like pumpkin. So just fall. I'll go with that.
Do you think it's because of that's a good answer. Do you think it's because of living in Oregon since you grew up in Texas? Does Texas have fall?
We, kind of it's not like a leaf changing, like that's not the big part of it. It's more so it gets a little cooler, like you get out of that summer humidity for the most part. But yeah, it's not the same as Oregon. So yes, living in Oregon, I think has contributed to that.
You've embraced it.
Totally.
All right. What song, this is question number 4. What song always fires you up?
I know this shouldn't be this hard.
It is hard. And if you have more than one answer, that's okay.
Well, what's yours?
All Star, Smash Mouth, or Get Back, Ludacris.
Ooh.
Those are my 2.
Always. Man, why is this hard?
Like if you're in the locker room, you got a big game you're calling.
Yeah, I don't go to just one song though. Like that's the thing about me. Gosh, give me some that's fires me up. Gosh, what fires me up?
You need to come. We can come back.
What? But we shouldn't have to. I don't know. I don't know if it fired. I think that's the thing. Like nothing. There isn't one song that just stands out.
Really? Okay, see, you were an athlete.
Okay, how about this? Snap Your Fingers.
Okay.
Okay, but like, it doesn't fire me up. That's the thing. Like, it's upbeat.
You didn't have like a pump up playlist that you listened to in the locker room before you went out for a game?
I've never had a playlist. To this day, I don't have a playlist.
What?
Let me tell you something. Let me say something about me. Okay. I will listen. I will go to the gym and listen to the music. I will watch a YouTube video of the music video rather than just creating a Spotify playlist or an iTunes. Like I do not have an iTunes playlist.
Do you have?
And I don't have a good reason as to why. Yes,
so you listen to music just in random ways.
Totally. Like when I tell you there isn't one song that's like set apart, like I don't have a go-to song. I don't have. Okay. Yeah, I know.
Do you think Lamar has a song?
Yeah. Maybe more so artists. Like he loves Earth, Wind, and Fire.
That totally sounds right up his alley. Yes.
Yeah, that's where he goes. That's where he goes. But we're different.
You are. That's okay. Good. I'm glad to know his though. Question number 5. What is something everyone loves but you hate? Playlists, apparently. I don't think I've ever met anybody else that said they didn't have
Yeah,
playlists,
I
but
don't hate them though. I don't hate them.
I,
I
you
just
don't
don't
use them.
care enough. Yeah, I don't. I know, and I know it's hard.
Sorry,
So
go ahead. Tell
so
me.
everybody else loves, but I hate. I don't really hate a lot. So, how
Dislike.
about this? Do you like swimming in the ocean?
Not in our oceans, no.
What
If I
ocean?
can't,
Any? Some?
I've been to Greece. I'm Greek, big fat Greek family. We've been to
Okay.
Greece once. I could be a fish. I want to see my feet though.
Well, then that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not jumping in the ocean where you live. No way.
Oh,
Uh-uh.
people do it all the time, and
Yeah,
it's
no.
cool.
And yeah.
But I'm not doing it anywhere.
Oh, even if you could see your feet?
Um, yeah, probably not, because if I could see my feet, I could also see the shark that's coming in the distance. And like, I don't really need that energy. I don't need that eye to eye contact that would take place before the big scene. So I just rather not
Oh,
be a part of it.
okay. I can respect that. Or actually, that actually is a good answer. Ocean swimming, I think, is a good answer. Other people like that.
Yeah.
Number 6, what is the most rebellious thing you did as a teenager?
Maybe stole money out of my mom's purse. But
That's kind of rebellious.
but I had reasons. Okay. And first of all, it was not a lot of money. It was a few quarters at a time, because we lived within walking distance of the convenience store, and there was an arcade there. And Street Fighter was arcade, it was Street Fighter arcade, and I loved the game. And we didn't have the game at home. And so like the only way I could play the game is if, mom left the purse open a little bit and there were a few quarters at the bottom. And even though she told me like that was enough playing games for the week, that's sometimes I would do that. Sometimes I would do that.
That's like PG-13 rebellious.
Okay,
That's
good. Okay,
yeah,
good.
that's not that bad.
Because she doesn't know. She doesn't know. Yeah, so
Oh,
just put that on.
okay. We won't tell her.
Keep
She
that
won't
on.
have to know.
All right.
7, what is one of your guilty pleasures?
I don't have guilty pleasures because it's a pleasure. So we watch The Bachelor and The Bachelorette here. And that is not a guilty pleasure because we like it. So I am team eliminate guilty pleasure, and whatever you enjoy, you go enjoy it.
Okay. Are you always so positive all the time?
I did. Is that what it?
You are. And it's a great quality. I'm very impressed. You're just
Okay.
because I feel like I'm getting like a life pep talk just talking to you.
Oh, good. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to be helpful. I don't really consider that as being positive. I think that's just
I would call watching The Bachelor a guilty pleasure. I have called it a guilty pleasure.
I know, but I know a lot of people call it that though. Like, and I get that. I get the point of it, but it's just like you want to watch the show, like watch it. You don't have to.
Okay, little side question here.
Okay.
Last week, Greg, are you thumbs up on Greg expressing himself or thumbs down on Greg?
I don't like the way he went at it because
okay, tell me why.
I think because he was wanting her to respond to something that was new for him. So the reason he reacted the way he did is because he's never opened himself up like that. Like he said, he's never been that vulnerable or, whatever he felt that he was. And so because of that, now he's putting his lack of doing that before, he's putting that now on her and expecting her response to make up for the inability he had to have done that before in his life. And I don't think that was fair for her.
Okay, that's a very valid point. And I never thought of it like that. So I'm glad I asked you.
But I do think he was right too. There was validity to what he was saying. I just think he overreacted quite a bit. Like she did seem like, she wasn't. Look, first of all, I think her biggest mistake is I think she just wanted to explore the situation with Blake a little bit longer, maybe more physically than anything. And so she was trying to stretch it out a little bit and get to that point rather than just picking the man she wants, because you can tell she loves Greg. Like he had a guarantee to make it to the next week. So stop playing that game. So that's, I get both sides, but I do think he overreacted. What do you think?
I think your point's really valid that he was maybe expecting too much. On the flip side, though, I thought it was a little cold on her part because I understand you don't want to tell somebody you love them. She wasn't even looking at him. She was looking down. And I understand. Have you read any spoilers?
No. Oh, you read them? Why did you do that?
Because I cared. I cared because I thought he was making some good points. And I think you need to keep in mind on Monday what you just said about her physical desires.
Oh, I will.
I'm curious to see what happens on Monday. I'm
Okay.
real, and maybe Monday will change our opinions of Greg and Katie. I don't know.
I'm open.
I was sympathetic to him, and I understand she's in a really difficult position and it can't be easy. But I thought she could have said something nice. Maybe
I agree.
Would have been good.
So what could she have said in your opinion?
She could have looked and said, "Thank you for telling me that. I really care about you," or kissed him, or smiled, or done something. And then when he brought it up the next day, he says, I feel like I wasn't even talking to you. I was talking to a wall. She still doesn't say anything. And it's like, girlfriend, give the guy a little bone.
Yes, I agree.
Even because she explains, like, I'm not saying I love you to anybody, but like, that's still not acknowledging that you appreciate what he was expressing. Just appreciate what he expressed.
True, but he was looking for more than appreciation. What he was hoping for was clear and Dale. All right, I'm done with everybody else. We're going home.
Yeah.
That's it. And he was not going to get that.
Yeah. I'm very curious to see. I agree with you. And I'm very curious to see what happens Monday.
Me too.
Okay. We'll see. 8 is pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
With anything? You like a little something on your pancake or
plain?
Okay.
Yeah.
9, what are 3 things you must do every day?
I don't have them.
Seriously? Like,
I mean, if we're just talking about like brush your teeth, wash your face, shower, I'm dead serious. I don't have a set like schedule. Okay, exercise could be one.
Yeah. Like if there's something that you didn't do, you just feel a little off. And it's not, it doesn't have to be like, I'm not a particularly structured person either, but
what are 3 for you?
Brush my teeth. I brush my teeth first thing in the morning. Exercise because I feel better mentally, and probably pray at some point. Just a little like faith touch base.
Totally. So I didn't know those were the kind of 3 things you were looking for.
Any 3 things that you
those exact 3 you just said.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
See, okay. Maybe this does mean I have more like Lamar-ness in me. And if I keep saying things and putting them out into the universe, they're going to come back to me. Last question. What is a profession other than yours you would like to attempt? If you weren't doing what you're doing, what would you do?
So are you saying if I wasn't doing TV or if I wasn't doing like basketball analysis? Because if it wasn't basketball analysis, I think I'd want to do some other form of TV.
Like what kind of TV?
Like maybe hosting a game show. I think that'd be fun. I think
I have to feel like you've thought about this. So what game show do you see Lamar Hurd?
When I watch Family Feud, I feel like that'd be fun to host.
Yes.
Like
you're funny. You could totally do that.
You think so?
Yes. And listen, whoever can come up with Lamarty Mar, you can do whatever you want.
Family Feud. Gosh, what other game? I think that's really the main one where like when I watch it, I think like that'd be fun to do. Another type of show, which I'm actually in the middle of doing right now, is some kind of show that goes and or discovers some of the like kind of the hidden gems in certain communities, like, like just good people that just need a little shine. So, but I've already said that before, so I wasn't thinking to put that in this answer, but that's part of the
I love it. And it definitely fits with the kind of person that I've gotten that you are. I think that's great.
Yeah, like remember Extreme Makeover, Home Edition
Yes.
and all that. Like I love those. I love that.
Yes.
Like to be able to surprise a family that doesn't have a house or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you capture all the scenes of working on it and all like stuff like that. Any kind of TV that involves that, I'd be very interested.
Oh, you could totally do all those things. You'd be great at it.
Oh,
Totally
thank you.
see. I think that those are all viable future options for you. So I'm going to pay attention to what ends up happening here to Lamar Hurd. Listen, I thank you so much. I have had so much fun talking to you. I have gotten so much out of it. I feel like I'm walking away now a little bit of a better person. I feel like I can dust and, shine off all these goals I've got and just keep speaking them out, putting them out there, Lamar, and they're going to come back to me. No, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I so appreciate getting the chance to talk to you. I hope now someday I get to meet your wife. You can tell her tonight that she has a new big fan all the way over in Ohio. Yeah, so thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thanks again for listening to this episode of In the Game with Elliot. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Also, check out In the Game with Elliot on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or watch full episodes on the YouTube channel.